Bibliophiles of the Internet. My name is Adriana and today I'm here to talk about my favorite book dedications. I wanted to make this video today for a number of reasons. The first being I was inspired by Stacy from Magic of Books, who recently did a great video about her favorite book dedications, and I thought that was such a fun and interesting video idea that I really wanted to do it for myself. Also, very appropriately, this upcoming week, at least in America, is Thanksgiving, which, yes, is a holiday that has a very messed up history, but at its core and literally in its name, it's a day for giving thanks and showing gratitude. And furthermore, today, the day I'm uploading this video, November 22nd, is my second BookTube anniversary, and that is something for which I am extremely grateful, and I definitely want to celebrate, so I thought this would be a great topic to talk about. So book dedications, I think, encompass all of that because they are a time and a space for authors to publicly and permanently show love, thanks, and gratitude, or try to make someone smile, and that is such an incredible opportunity, putting all your time and effort into creating this incredible and magical thing, and then to be able to step back at the end of it all and say, this was all for you. That's such a powerful opportunity, and one that I hope to have at least once in my lifetime. So without any further ado, I'm going to share a bunch of my favorite book dedications with you now. The first dedication comes from this bridge called My Back, and it's actually bilingual. It says, Para Elvira Moraga Lorenz y Amalia Garcia Anzaldúa y para todas nuestras madres por la obediencia y la inserción que ellas nos enseñaron, which translates to for Elvira Moraga Lorenz and Amalia Garcia Anzaldúa, and for all our mothers for the obedience and rebellion they taught us. I talked about this next one in my birthday unboxing video, but I think it's such a great dedication that it's definitely worth mentioning again. It comes from the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and it says, for all those who have to fight for the respect that everyone else is given without question. This next one comes from a book I have not yet hauled, and that is The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, and she dedicates this one to David and Sion, you sick people. Next, I'm going to go through several of Benjamin Elede Sainz's books, the first of course being Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, which he has dedicated to all the boys who've had to learn to play by different rules. Then there's He Forgot to Say Goodbye, which is for Gabriela and Adrian, two very seriously beautiful people. Then there's In Perfect Light, which is for Gabriela, who is like the sun, and for her mother, Patricia, who is the sun. And finally, we have Last Night I Sang to the Monster, and he writes, Brian, do you still want to know if I believe in miracles? Next, we have Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie, and she writes, for my parents, Mary P. and David N. Dietzler, who didn't live to see this book, but were always sure it would exist. Then we have Firefight by Brandon Sanderson, which says, for Nathan Goodrich, a dear friend who was patient enough to read my books when they were bad. Another Brandon Sanderson book, this one is Warbreaker, and it says, for Emily, who said yes. I really like this one, even though it's very simple and straightforward. I just love the power and the beauty of the word yes in all of its variations and all of its iterations across languages. I think that it's just one of the most beautiful words that we as human beings have to offer each other. Then we have Among Others by Jo Walton, which says, this is for all the libraries in the world and the librarians who sit there day after day lending books to people. Then I have These Gentle Wounds by Helene Dunbar, which says, in memory of my mother, Carol Baker, who shared her love of books, to my father, Harold Baker, who told me I could do anything, and to Suzanne Kamada, who told me I could do this. With love. When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stead, which says, to Sean, Jack, and Eli, champions of inappropriate laughter, fierce love, and extremely deep questions. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, which says, for Susan and Libby, because there is no map for where we are going. Deathless by Catherine M. Valente, which says, for Dimitri, who spirited me away from a dark place. The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente, which says, for all those who walked this strange road with me and held out their hands when I faltered. This is a ship of our own making. The Beginning of Everything by Robin Schneider, which says, to my parents, who will no doubt try to find themselves in this book, don't worry, I made it easy for you. You're right here in the very front. I love this next one, which comes from George by Alex Gino, and it says, to you, for when you felt different. Then we have another incredible middle grade book, and that is The Thing About Jellyfish by Ali Benjamin, and this one says, for curious kids everywhere. Fortunately the Milk by Neil Gaiman, which has 2 dedications, and the first is from Neil Gaiman, and it says, for my late father David, who would have told the tale with delight, and for my son Michael, who would never have believed a word of it. With love. And the second one comes from Scotty Young, the illustrator, who writes, "For my dad, who was a teller of stories and a maker of laughs. I miss you like crazy." A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which says, "For the ones who dream of stranger worlds." The Walls Around Us by Nova Ren Suma, which says, "For the girl who needs to hide her diary, for the girl who doesn't think she's worth so much, and again and always for E." Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, which says, "This is for Stephen," and then it says, "The idea for this book was suggested by a boy in a school I was visiting who asked me to write a book called The Moving Castle. I wrote down his name and put it in such a safe place that I have been unable to find it ever since. I would like to thank him very much." And to end, I have a simple one, and that comes from The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster, and he writes, "To Andy and Kenny, who waited so patiently." So those were a few of my favorite book dedications. Obviously, I couldn't get to all of my books because there are so many of them, but I would very highly recommend that you go to your own shelves and pull down your own favorite books to see who they are dedicated to, because I think there's just something really special about it. And who knows, maybe they're even dedicated to you. And like I said, I made this video today in part to celebrate the fact that I have now been on BookTube for 2 years, which is kind of insane and crazy for me to wrap my mind around. Honestly, thank you all so much for all of the kind and supportive tweets, Goodreads messages, comments, all of the incredible and thoughtful feedback, and the great conversations we've been able to have together. Not everyone gets to do what I do, and not everyone gets to be met with the reception that I have, so that means a lot to me. That means everything. Thank you so much for that. Every single content creator has their own unique journey, so thank you so much for making mine so special and rewarding and meaningful. I'm so incredibly proud of everything I've created here, and this channel really anchors me. Even when I'm having a really bad day, I can look back and say, but look at what I've done, look at what I've made, I did that. However, I don't think that's the full story, because it's not really what I've done. It's about how all of you are so supportive and so receptive of everything that I do. And like I said, that's a privilege that not everybody has. And I'm so grateful for all of you. I mean, when you think about it, none of you have any obligation to like me, to watch my videos, to subscribe to me, to support me in any way, shape, or form. But the fact that so many of you just do, that openness, that willingness to listen, that generosity that you give me every time you click on one of my videos, or that you give me by just being here, is such an incredible force of love and community that I can't even articulate. I don't know what to say other than thank you, and I'm so grateful and appreciative of every single one of you, and I look forward to many more years of doing this together. So that was my spiel on book dedications and gratitude. In the comments down below, please let me know what are some things that you are most thankful for, or feel free to share some of your favorite book dedications, because I would love to hear more. But that is everything I had for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the flip side of the page. Bye.